Good morning, class. I hope everybody has been having a good weekend. Ah, 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 ah. How is everybody today? I hope everybody is doing okay. Not sure if somebody asked this already, but how long will our lectures be online for? Even if you have only a guess, not an actual number. 2 or 3 weeks. So probably this week and next. Depends on how things go. In general, the recovery from everything has been going pretty well. So hopefully that'll be on the 2-week rather than the 3-week side. I'd love to get back to you guys in person, but things require me. I am required, shall we say. Good morning, good morning. So, how was the test? Would anybody care to elaborate on the proceedings? Will I be holding office hours at 10:30? Online by appointment. And I might be a bit late. We'll see how it goes. All right. Well, if nobody has any comments or anything, we might as well get into things, shall we say? Yep. Cool. 32 concurrent viewers. Not nearly enough, if I may say so. If you find the voice annoying, you're just going to have to deal with it, as it is, after all, the spookiest day of the year. Ah, 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 ah. All right. So, man, the chat's no fun at all today. You guys are not, you guys aren't fun at all. Jeez. I was expecting a little more fun in the chat. That's a little disappointing. I got dressed up and everything. I think people are studying for 2GA3. Well, that's, yeah, isn't that a course that's currently like destroying all your butts? I think I recall before like last week or the week before, people commenting on how much butt was being destroyed by that course. Yeah. There we go. Happy Halloween. So, red-black trees, then. If only it were orange-black trees, right? Huh. So, let's go. Red-black trees. So, going back to 2-3 trees for a moment to motivate red-black trees, we're going to find that red-black trees are really quite similar to 2-3 trees in quite a number of respects. They're an iteration on 2-3 trees in order to address some of the major problems of 2-3 trees. Again, the 2-3 tree is not a bad algorithm. However, there are some points about it that make it a little bit difficult to work with, which we might be able to improve if we consider things somewhat differently. So, enter the red-black tree. Red-black trees are essentially a way to encode 2-3 trees without needing to keep track of multiple node types and variable numbers of values per node. So, as opposed to the distinction we draw in a 2-3 tree between a 2-node and a 3-node, in the case of a red-black tree, we have a different property we're keeping track of. Rather than being able to collect additional information into one node, we establish a distinction between red and black links rather than nodes. So it's kind of like we are choosing to encode basically the same information, but we are choosing to encode that information in the linkages themselves rather than in the nodes themselves. That's one way of thinking about it. Black links are the same in red-black as in 2-3 trees. So the black links of the red-black tree are precisely as you have seen them so far. Red links connect values that are the same as things that are connected by node in a 2-3 tree. So essentially, if we consider a 3-node, right, has some A-B interval specified, the equivalent red-black tree has B as the root, because the larger key is because the root is larger key. Although we're going to see this is not we're going to see that this is always the case, even when it's not. And the linkage between the A and the B values are formed by a red link rather than a black one. So basically, if you take a 2-3 tree and you split all of the 3 nodes up into 2 nodes and have them linked by red links rather than being grouped into one node, you essentially have a red-black tree. Make sense so far? Give me a thumbs up in the chat, huh? All 39 of you out of 260. The few, the loyal, the 40. I mean, even Leonidas had 100 Greeks, you know? I think it's Leonidas, isn't it? So, some Persian invasion. Yeah. There we go. Excellent, excellent. Wonderful. Magnificent. So, an equivalent definition of red-black trees. I won't do it for the whole lecture. I could if I wanted to, though. I'm the prof. Nobody can say otherwise. So, a red-black tree, more formally defined, if we define it in terms of properties, is a binary search tree that has no node having 2 red links connected to it. So you're not permitted to have so one node can only connect to, at most, one other node via a red link. Every path from root to a null link has the same number of black links, So we're now talking about perfect black balance as opposed to perfect balance, period. So, you know, given that red-black trees are created and expanded and added to in a very similar way to a 2-3 tree, one would expect that these one would expect all of the nodes to come out level at the bottom, so that we would have a perfectly symmetrical tree. But unfortunately, because the red links are introducing additional linkages into the tree, and in this case they're actually contributing to branch length, we can no longer claim that every single node is equidistant from the root node if it has null links. However, this property does still apply if we only count black links. And here's a quick question for the class. If no node can have two red links connected to it, and it's perfectly balanced other than the existence of these red nodes, what is maximum branch length here? What would be the maximum branch length? Any guesses? See, this is why I prefer doing things in lecture, because someone kind of at least cautiously puts their hand up at this point and at least hazards a guess. You know? Ah, there we go. 2 log base 2n. Correct! Right? Because it would be log base 2n if, if you just considered the black links. At maximum, we have alternating red and black links down one branch, as is depicted here, so that gives you approximately 2 log base 2n. Very good, thank you. So, key property. 2, 3, and left-leaning red-black trees exactly correspond. So what does left-leaning mean? Point number 3, red links lean left. That is to say, if 2 nodes are joined by a red link, the maximum of those 2 nodes is the root of that linkage. Right? Question. How do 2 red links connect to the same node? They don't. It is structurally impossible. If we get into a situation... So, a situation where a node would have, for example, 2 red children. This would be equivalent to a 4 node in a 2-3 tree. This is an unstable arrangement that would immediately be broken down into some alternate arrangement, right? And those are the types of these types of alternate arrangements are things we're going to see as we continue upon this magical journey. So, while while the algorithm is processing, you may, as an intermediate step, have nodes which are connected to more than one, connected by more than one red link. By the time the algorithm has finished processing and the sort of stable finished data structure has been established, no node may have more than one red link. Okay? It's all good? Hope so. So, let's examine this. Our red-black tree, right, with these red links. Normally we do normally with trees we always do the links slanting down, right? But if you take these red links and pop them up so that they're horizontal, as so, you can see that this corresponds pretty much precisely to a 2-3 tree. The only difference is that while these nodes, these linkages to parents with respect to red-linked nodes, in a 2-3 tree, it's sort of ambiguous which one of these two nodes this link connects to. It connects to both at once because they're contained in a node. However, with a red-black tree, the parent node always connects to the larger of the two numbers in this interval. This is what it means to be left-leaning. Make sense? So, red-black BST representation. So, each node has only one parent, so we can encode color of links in nodes using the variable color, right? Like, the question becomes, if we are to color these links, how do we do so in a maximally efficient way, right? Basically, you've got two options. You maintain two variables for both of the child nodes to see what color their links are, or, alternatively, you can maintain only one color variable, which indicates the color of the parent link, because there's always only one parent link. Unless you're the root, in which case, color doesn't matter because you're not linked to anything anyway. So, in order to turn an ordinary BST into a red-black tree, literally, all we have to do, take our existing node class and add one additional variable, Boolean, which indicates color. In this case, we're defining some constants, red and black, to be true and false. And these constants will just allow us to specify red or black instead of true or false, which, is a little bit more in line with the slides, I suppose. Really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you use red, black, or true, false, but, it just kind of sounds stupid to call these true-false trees, But anyway. Good. So, observation. Search is exactly the same for a BST. Since you are, you don't need to do anything, right? You just ignore the color of the binary search tree. Pardon me. You ignore the color parameter in the red-black tree. That leaves you with a regular binary search tree, right? So you can search this binary search tree using the exact same methodology that was used previously. Precisely the same methodology. But, Oh. There you go. So yeah, it's exactly the same. I have a question. Couldn't we also set the color of the left child since a node can only have one red link? So the question is, why are we going right? Couldn't we also set the color of the left? Well, it is true that in the final, in the finished and final trees, all of your links will be leaning left. However, as we're going to see, there are going to be situations where, on a temporary basis, the tree will contain nodes which have two red links, right? So, we can encode that by making A and S specify a color relationship with both of their parents. Both of their parent, which is E, shall I say. So, it is useful still to have the ability to specify the right link as being one color or another. So yeah, that's why we do this bottom up rather than top down. Make sense? If you were, like, to answer that question a bit more precisely, if you were to set things in a if you were to set this variable in a top-down fashion rather than a bottom-up fashion, it doesn't, like, you would still be required to use two color variables, even if it is a left-leaning link and all of the final colored links are with the left node, right? Despite this being the case, despite this being the case, on a temporary basis, the other one might need to be read too. So you'll still need the two variables. So in order to avoid the variable, you have to color the parent link rather than the child links. Cool. All right. Good. Wonderful. Thank you for the questions. So, with respect to the insertion procedure now, in general, we wish to maintain our one-to-one correspondence with 2-3 trees. In order to achieve this, we will need to introduce two additional sub-operations, rotation and color flip. So, rotation and color flip are, well, rotation is not an operation that is required or possible in the 2-3 tree. The purpose of rotation is to ensure that in the final analysis, the link is always left-leaning. The color flip algorithm manages which branches are colored and which ones aren't in order to sort of encode this process that we had in 2-3 trees of node splitting and recombining, right? So the node split recombine procedures from 2-3 trees, roughly speaking, get put into the color flip algorithms, and the rotation algorithms are primarily for maintaining the left-leaning properties. So let's look at rotation, shall we? So, in the same way that 2-3 trees had unstable 4 nodes during some operations, left-leaning red-black trees may have temporary right-leaning links. So, while you're adding numbers, let's, I'm gonna draw. Oop, I got a question. Let me answer this question. Is it better than binary trees because it avoids the worst-case scenario? It would have the same runtime as the best-case scenario binary tree. Well, these are excellent questions. Thank you for the questions. It's not so much that red-black trees have the same it's not true that red-black trees have the same best-case... Well, the best-case red-black tree is the same as the best-case binary search tree, right? They are the same data structure because, the best-case red-black tree contains no red links. Each time you add a red link, it lengthens a path length, right? Which might increase your search time for that branch it will increase your search time for that branch, assuming it's your branch that you're searching, right? So
red-black trees are an improvement on binary search trees for the same reason that 2-3 trees are an improvement on binary search trees. You are performing a more organized addition of information into the data structure, which only adds the information in a manner which maintains at least a rough ordered or like a rough symmetry between branch lengths. Again, we talk about the concept of the tree being complete with respect to the black links. So, remember that the worst case scenario for a binary tree is just a data structure that is, node. Why am I using this instead of the circle tool? Circle tool. It's just node, 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 etc. with links COMPSCI, right? The worst case BST. The 2-3 trees, the red-black trees, you can tell how similar they are because I keep confusing them. Red-black trees must maintain a certain degree of balance, right? At maximum, any branch length can only be, like, your maximum branch length is at most twice your minimum branch length here, right? So that constrains the degree to which these things can get out of hand and addresses the worst case scenario. Hopefully that answers your question. We're gonna talk about analysis as well. So, yes. So, rotation. So you might get into a situation where you have these temporary right-leaning nodes. Imagine you have an insertion procedure, right? Which we have like some key, right? Let's say, 3, right? Let's say we wanted to insert 4. The way that we would do this in a, let's imagine, just for the sake of argument, the search came down this path and this was this 3 is at the end, right? If we wanted to insert 4, we would need to put it here, right? And then we would put a red link between them, right? This is equivalent to having a node in a 2-3 tree that says, 3-4 as one unit. Awesome. Here's the problem, though. If we were to draw this out as a tree, right, 4 would be below 3. And this violates our left-leaning property. So we need some kind of way of rotating the tree so that 4 is at the top and 3 is at the bottom. It's fairly similar. Or it's actually not too difficult. Where's my pen? Is this 5? Yeah, okay. So if we're in this type of a situation, these subtrees on the end, these we don't really worry about too much, right? Because this one, since it's less than E, it always has to be attached to E. Since this one is greater than S, it always has to be attached to S. These two are not going to change in their relative position. The trick is this one in the middle. This tree comprises all of those values between E and S, right? But because it is comprised of entirely items between E and S, this subtree in the middle can actually be swapped. You can swap which node it's attached to so long as it ends up in the correct place. So during the rotation procedure, we disconnect this tree here, right? We link it here, we disconnect this guy, and we link it here. Make sense? Once you've performed those 2 operations, I think you can do that in 2 operations since this is technically an overwrite, right? You end up with a tree where the maximal node is at the higher position, as we want, and this subtree that indicated values between the 2 values, this is transferred in a manner that maintains its place within the data structure. Make sense? Can I get a thumbs up from the crowd for anyone who's still listening? This is also kind of a test to see who has the fastest internet. Cool. All right. So the rotation algorithm, like, not too bad, right? Again, rotation is not something you'll have to do every time. You do need to be able to recognize when you're in a scenario when you need to rotate the tree, right? This is like a little sub-piece of the insertion algorithm that, you know, we need in order to maintain our properties. So in addition to rotating things to form the left-leaning nodes, it's also occasionally useful to perform the reverse procedure. We can rotate right in order to connect the smaller of the 2 temporarily to the parent node. So we want to be able to temporarily make a red link lean right instead of left for certain purposes later on in the algorithm. Hopefully we can understand that without too much further explanation. Just take my description that I gave of the previous operation and substitute the word left for right and right for left, and it's exactly the same algorithm. Okay? Oh, and maximum and minimum. Swap those as well. So, this is kind of an interesting one. Color flip. Right? So this is your equivalent of performing a 4-node split in a 2-3 tree. Actually, let's just take a look at the 4-node split for a moment. And yeah, right here. So with a 4-node split, we take 3 values that are all linked together, right? We split them so that we have an arrangement of 3 2 nodes, right? If this is not the root but has a parent, we add the middle element to the node that's above, even if that manages to form a 3-node or a 4-node, right? So, in a red-black tree, this is actually a much simpler operation. The fact that there are so many cases to understand and, you know, write specific cases for, this is actually one of the things that we wanted to address with red-black trees to make simpler. So, it's very simple in a red-black tree. If we have a situation where one node has two red links for its two children, we recolor this so that the two red links become black, and then the black link to the node's own parent becomes red. Obviously, if it's the root node, this red link doesn't exist because it's not linking to anything. So you can see that that constitutes the tree expansion from the root in the same way that we have been doing things with the 2-3 tree, right? So it's very cool. Literally, to do the split and expand procedure with a red-black tree, all you need to do is invert the colors surrounding the node that has two reds. This also maintains symmetric order and perfect black balance. So, so here, let's do some examples, right? So let's imagine we have the root B and we want to insert A, right? Search ends at a null link, so we add that link, add the new link containing an A, and this converts the, in a 2-3 tree, this would convert B into a 3 node containing AB. But because this is a red-black tree, we simply add A as a child of B with a red link. We always add with red links. Always add with red links. On the right side, it's exactly the same, but symmetrical, except for one final fact, right? Because, after the insertion procedure, we have inserted B on the the right link of A with a red link, right? This currently violates our left-leaning property of the red-black trees. Therefore, in order to reestablish our left-leaning property, we need to rotate this guy left so that A is, A is the child of B instead of the other way around. Make sense so far? Can I get a can I get a thumbs up? Yeah, that's okay. There we go. Cool. So, so let's examine another example, all right? Let's imagine we have a, basically insert into a 2 node at the bottom, right? When we insert keys into a red-black BST normally, we add a new node at the bottom with a red link. If the parent is a 2 node, then the two cases we just discussed above are effective. In particular, if the new node is attached to the left link, the parent simply becomes a 3 node. If the new red link is a right link, we simply left rotate it, right? So in this case, if we're inserting C, do we need to perform rotation or not? Yes, with a question mark. The answer is yes. So if we're inserting C, we would be inserting, as the diagram indicates, on this branch right here. So that would be a new red link. It would be right-leaning. So we would need to rotate that left so that the A is down here and the C is up there. Sound good? Now let's consider inserting a node into a 2-node tree equivalent to a single 3-node 2-3 tree. So let's imagine that we have A, B with a red link, right? Let's imagine we are inserting C once again. Search ends at this null link. We attach the new node with a red link here, and the colors are flipped to black because B has 2 red links, right? So this produces tree expansion, right? This produces tree expansion in the same way that splitting up a 3-node produces tree expansion in a 2-3 tree. So let's consider it this way. Let's say we have B and C, and we want to add A, right? So our search would end on the left branch of B. We add our node with the red link, and then, interestingly enough, we have CBA, all with red links. We notice that B has a red parent and a red child, and a null link here. In order to, well, the null link here doesn't matter. If there was another tree here, you would simply attach it to C during rotation. But we notice that, like, we want to be in a state where we have the 2 child nodes red, right? Because that's our flip algorithm. We can't just flip willy-nilly, right? It would be a violation, you know. Let's just imagine we have a scenario here, right? Where we have, you know, one, 2, 3, 4. If we had a black link here, red link, right? If we were to just recolor this algorithm, like if we were to apply this sort of idea of the recolor algorithm, right? This doesn't work. What we've actually done is we've increased the black path length asymmetrically, right? Which means that this would while this might be this may be a valid 2-3 tree, or this may be a valid red-black tree. This, if you perform that procedure, you're adding black links asymmetrically on the 2 branches, which means you will not be preserving perfect black symmetry, which is something that we want, right? So you have to make sure that it's the 2 child nodes that are red before you perform the flip procedure. So that's why it is necessary sometimes to perform a right rotation, to bring this guy down here so that you can then flip the colors. And of course, with a between, we're in a similar situation, but we have to perform 2 rotations. So if we have A and C and we're inserting B, we insert B in the middle, right? So we go bink, bonk. First thing to do, excuse me, is to straighten it out so that we get CBA, right? Flip this here, flip that down there. Then flip C down, right? And then we can recolor to black. There we go. Question. If B was not the root, there would be a red link at the top. Right? Yes! Very, very good. Yes, thank you. In all of these situations, if B was not the root of this tree, then B would form a red link to whatever its parent, whatever the parent was. Yes, absolutely. Good observation. So, let's examine a slightly larger scenario now. Insert into a 3 node at the bottom of a tree. So we do the standard BST insert, color the new red link, rotate to balance the 4 node if needed, flip colors to pass the red link up 1 level, and rotate to make lean left if needed. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but so we've got this BST and we want to insert H, right? So, greater than E, less than S, and less than R, so it's going to be there. We insert H with a red link, and you can see that we have a line of 3 red links here. We then rotate this to flip the S down and the R into its spot. We do a right rotate, right? This establishes both children of R as having red links. Then we recolor so that R has 2 black children and 1 red parent. And this establishes a right-leaning link, so we need to rotate R into the top position. So one interesting consequence of this, as opposed to ordinary BSTs, the interesting thing about a regular BST, once you've set the root node, it never changes, right? In a red-black tree, we can rotate elements into the top position, right? And in general, when you rotate things into the top position, it will tend to rotate, things that are roughly in the middle of your data structure into the top position. This is kind of similar to the process in 2-3 trees, where, you can think like maybe you had a 2-3 tree that started off with a root node of S, right? And then over the course of a couple of insertion operations, you added E and A. The thing that's going to be selected from these to form the new root node is the element in the middle. So the part of the whole crux of the algorithm is there's this self-balancing that occurs by sort of continuously forcing the number in the middle into the top position, right? So over time, the root node will tend toward the median of the data structure, right? It's not necessarily exactly the median, but it will tend toward the median, right? Red-black trees have the same sorts of properties, right? Because we are always going to be trying to establish this 2 red link sort of structure, and whatever's at the top of those 2 red links, that becomes the new, that becomes the root node during that rotation. We're kind of in a very similar situation where we are tending towards having the median in the top position. Make sense? like, again, it might have minor fluctuations, but like that's how these things maintain balance, is by, you know, adjusting the tree so that elements which are middleward rise to the top. Make sense? Any questions about that? Hopefully not, because class is over. Let's go. Give me a thumbs up if give me a thumbs up if you're cool with that. Awesome. All right. See all you beautiful people next time.